Why does this season feel so hard when you're trying to do everything right? You're praying, reading your Bible, serving, believing, and yet you're facing more pressure than ever. The doors aren't opening. The breakthrough isn't coming. The relief you're praying for keeps being delayed, and you're wondering if you did something wrong or if God has forgotten about you. But what if this difficult season isn't punishment at all? What if it's the most important preparation of your entire life? The goldsmith's fire. Why heat reveals purity. Malachi 3:2-3 asks a sobering question. But who can endure the day of his coming? Who can stand when he appears? For he will be like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver. Notice what God does when he refines. He sits. A refiner doesn't walk away during the process. He sits and watches. He controls the temperature. He monitors the duration. He knows exactly how much heat to apply and how long to leave the metal in the fire. And he stays there, watching intently until he can see his reflection in the metal. That's when he knows the impurities have been removed. Job understood this when he said in Job 23:10, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." Job was in the fire. Everything he valued had been stripped away. His wealth, his children, his health. His wife told him to curse God and die. His friends accused him of hidden sin. But Job recognized something crucial. The fire wasn't random. God knew the way Job was taking. God was monitoring the process. And God had a purpose. Job would come forth as gold. The season you're in right now is the refiner's fire. Every pressure point, every disappointment, every delay is heat being applied to remove impurities in your character that would corrupt your calling. Pride has to be burned away. Self-reliance has to melt off. Bitterness has to be extracted. Unforgiveness has to be purged. These things can't be removed through prayer alone or Bible study alone. They have to be burned out through circumstances that reveal them. When Joseph was in prison, the fire revealed whether he would serve God when nobody was watching. When his interpretation of dreams helped the cupbearer get released, Genesis 40:23 records. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. 2 more years passed. That wasn't abandonment. That was refinement. God was burning away any expectation that Joseph's deliverance would come through human favor. When Joseph finally stood before Pharaoh, he didn't credit his own abilities. Genesis 41:16 records him saying, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." The fire had removed all self-promotion. Your season is doing the same work. That job that hasn't come through is removing your trust in credentials. That relationship that ended is burning away your tendency to find identity in being wanted. That financial pressure is melting off your dependence on security you can see. That health issue that won't heal is extracting your assumption that strength comes from your body. The heat is high, but the refiner is sitting. He's watching, he's controlling, and he'll remove you from the fire the moment his reflection is clear in you. The potter's wheel. Why pressure shapes purpose. Jeremiah 18:1-4 records God sending Jeremiah to the potter's house. So I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working at the wheel. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. The clay was marred, flawed, not working the way the potter intended. So what did the potter do? He didn't throw it away. He didn't start over with new clay. He reshaped what he already had. But reshaping requires pressure. The potter's hands press into the clay. The wheel spins, creating constant motion and instability. Water is applied to keep it pliable, and the clay that was marred is transformed into something beautiful, but only through pressure. David experienced this when he was anointed king as a teenager, but then spent years running from Saul. He hid in caves. He lived in constant danger. He was betrayed by people he trusted. 1 Samuel 30 records one of his lowest moments. David and his men reached Ziklag on the third day. Now the Amalekites had raided the Negev and Ziklag. They had attacked Ziklag and burned it, and had taken captive the women and everyone else in it, both young and old. David's city was burned. His wives were taken. And verse 6 says, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. The same men who followed him now wanted to kill him. Everything was falling apart. But that pressure revealed something crucial. But David found strength in the Lord his God. The pressure forced David to find strength in God, not in his circumstances, not in his men's loyalty, not in his own abilities. And that moment of intense pressure became a turning point. David inquired of the Lord, pursued the raiders, and recovered everything that was taken. But more importantly, he learned that when everything else fails, God remains. That lesson prepared him to be a king who would write Psalm 23:4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The pressure you're experiencing right now is the potter's hands shaping you. That stress at work is developing patience. That conflict in your family is building your ability to love difficult people. That financial strain is teaching you to trust God as provider. That mental health battle is showing you that your strength comes from Him, not from yourself. The pressure isn't breaking you, it's shaping you. And what's being formed is a vessel that can carry the weight of what God is preparing for you. The threshing floor. Why loss separates. What matters. Ruth 3.2 introduces an important location. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Winnowing is the process of separating grain from chaff. The grain and chaff are thrown into the air together, and the wind blows away the worthless chaff, while the valuable grain falls back to the ground. It looks violent. Everything is being tossed into the air. But the purpose is separation, not destruction. Ruth had lost her husband. She left her homeland. She gave up security for uncertainty. Everything that once defined her life had been thrown into the air. But that loss positioned her to meet Boaz. That separation of what was from what would be positioned her for redemption. Ruth 4:13-17 records that she married Boaz and gave birth to Obed, who became the grandfather of King David. Her loss put her in the direct lineage of Jesus Christ. The threshing in her life separated what was temporary from what was eternal. Her first husband was temporary. Her life in Moab was temporary. But her loyalty to God, her character, her faith, those were grain. And when the wind of loss blew through her life, the chaff was removed and the grain remained. What survived the winnowing was what mattered most. Peter experienced this same threshing. Luke 22:31-32 records Jesus telling him, "Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers." Satan wanted to destroy Peter, but Jesus reframed it. This isn't just attack, it's threshing. You're going to be shaken. Your confidence will be blown away like chaff. Your self-reliance will be separated from you. But your faith, the grain, will remain. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Everything he thought about himself was thrown into the air. His loyalty, chaff. His courage, Chaff. His commitment. Chaff. But when it all settled, something remained: his love for Jesus. John 21:17 records Peter's tearful response when Jesus asked the third time if he loved him. "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." That love was grain. And Jesus built his church on that grain. Feed my sheep. Your season of loss is the threshing floor. That job that ended, that was chaff. That relationship that didn't work, chaff. That dream that died, chaff. That reputation that was damaged, chaff. What's being removed are things you thought were essential, but were actually just extra weight. And what remains after the winnowing, your faith, your character, your love for God, your calling, that's the grain. That's what God is preserving. The loss isn't destroying your future. It's clarifying it. The wind isn't your enemy. It's God's tool for showing you what actually matters. The wilderness test. Why isolation reveals dependence numbers. 3:1-2 traces Israel's journey. Here are the stages in the journey of the Israelites when they came out of Egypt by divisions under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's command, Moses recorded the stages in their journey. 40 years. 40 years in a wilderness journey that should have taken 11 days. Why? Deuteronomy 8:2 explains, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands." The wilderness was a test, not of their ability to survive, but of what was in their hearts. Would they trust God when they couldn't see the provision? Would they obey when the instructions didn't make sense? Would they remain faithful when the promise seemed delayed? Moses himself experienced wilderness before leading Israel through it. After fleeing Egypt as a murderer, he spent 40 years tending sheep in Midian. Exodus 3 records that it was in that wilderness, at 80 years old, that God appeared to him in a burning bush. The wilderness stripped away Moses' confidence in his Egyptian education, his position, his abilities. When God called him to deliver Israel, Moses responded in Exodus 3:11, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" That's not the same Moses who 40 years earlier killed an Egyptian and tried to deliver Israel in his own strength. The wilderness had transformed his identity from "I am somebody" to "Who am I?" And that transformation was necessary, because God's response was crucial. "I will be with you." God wasn't asking Moses to deliver Israel in Moses' strength. He was inviting Moses to participate in what God would do through him. But Moses had to be emptied of self-reliance before he could be filled with God dependence. Your wilderness season is doing the same work. That isolation you're experiencing is removing your dependence on crowds. That silence from heaven is teaching you to trust without constantly hearing. That lack of visible progress is developing faith that doesn't need to see results. That season where doors keep closing is forcing you to stop relying on your ability to make things happen and start depending on God to open what He wants opened. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's not abandonment, it's development. God is using the isolation to reveal what's in your heart, your true motives, your real faith, your actual trust level. And everything the wilderness reveals, God is addressing. The complaining is being confronted. The doubt is being challenged. The self-reliance is being broken. Because what's coming next requires a level of dependence on God that comfort could never produce. The waiting room. Why delay builds character. Abraham received God's promise of a son when he was 75 years old. Genesis 12:4 says, "So Abram went, as the Lord had told him. He obeyed immediately." But the son didn't come immediately. Years passed. A decade. 2 decades. Sarah was long past, childbearing age, and still no son. Genesis 15:1-6 records Abraham's frustration. After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. "Don't be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward." But Abram said, "Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless?" Abraham was questioning God's promise. The delay was creating doubt. But look at God's response. He took Abraham outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offspring be." Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. The delay wasn't God forgetting. It was God building something in Abraham that immediate fulfillment could never build. Faith that doesn't depend on seeing. Romans 4:18-21 explains what that delay produced. Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed, and so became the father of many nations, just as it had been said to him, "So shall your offspring be." Without weakening in his faith, he faced the fact that his body was as good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, and that Sarah's womb was also dead. Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. 25 years of waiting built a faith that was fully persuaded, not partially convinced, not mostly sure, fully persuaded. The delay did that. Every year that passed without the promise being fulfilled, Abraham had to choose faith over doubt. Every birthday that came with no son, Abraham had to choose to believe God's character over his circumstances. And those repeated choices built a strength of faith that changed history. Abraham became the father of faith because the delay forced him to develop unshakable trust. Hannah experienced a similar wait. Year after year, she prayed for a son. 1 Samuel 1:6-7 records, "Because the Lord had closed Hannah's womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. This went on year after year." The wait wasn't just hard, it was humiliating. But 1 Samuel 1:27 records her response when Samuel was finally born. "I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him." The wait taught Hannah to value what she received. She didn't take Samuel for granted. She didn't treat him as her possession. 1 Samuel 1:28 records her giving him back to God. "So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord." The delay built in Hannah a perspective that immediate fulfillment never could have created. She understood that Samuel wasn't her achievement. He was God's gift. And that understanding made her willing to dedicate him to God's service. Your delay is building the same character. That promise God spoke over you years ago that still hasn't manifested. It's developing in you a faith that will sustain you when the promise comes with challenges. That prayer that keeps being answered with "not yet." It's teaching you to value what God gives instead of taking it for granted. That door that keeps staying closed? It's building in you a trust in God's timing that won't panic when future doors don't open on your schedule. Delay isn't God being slow, it's God being thorough. He's not just giving you what you asked for, He's making sure you become someone who can steward what you receive. The waiting room is uncomfortable, but it's not wasted. What's being built in the wait is more valuable than what you're waiting for. The fire is refining impurities. The potter's wheel is shaping purpose. The threshing floor is separating what matters. The wilderness is revealing dependence. The waiting room is building character. Each pressure point, each disappointment, each delay, they're not accidents. They're appointments with the refiner who sits and watches until he sees his reflection in you. Trust the process. The season is hard, but the outcome is gold. If this message spoke to you, like and subscribe for more truth. God hasn't forgotten you. He's refining you.